No different than we see a lot of top players in other sports, football, basketball. LeBron, let's face it. I'm not sure LeBron's at his prime anymore, Alvin. I think you would agree with me on that. But LeBron is still playing because he can. And I think he's the Novack of basketball. And I say that to tell you, every other player that's 30 in the world, or a player in the NBA that's over 30, 31, that's not a former champion, that's not a former 30-point a game player, is probably already hung up the Jordans by
Sure.
now.
And I think the other
And the one point I want to make, and that spells doom for a 27 through 29-year-old who is playing and hasn't won one. I loved your point earlier about the not yet prime, approaching the prime, playing the in their prime. And that's the real test of tennis right now, is this group of about 30 to 37, 22 to 25s playing against a bunch of 27 through or 27s through 30s. And those two come into grips. And Alvin, you heard it right here. At the end of this year, in the next 18 months, we could have an exodus of another 15 to 20 players in the top 100. And we haven't even talked about players like Yao Fonseca and others who are coming up. And we could be completely recycling the whole group of players now. And that's the storyline. It isn't the old guys. It's the prime that are about to retire that won't make it to old guys.
They're not about to retire, but because I think that's the part about the advancements in science and strength and conditioning, right? Like someone like a Taylor Fritz or an Alexander Zverev or an Andre Rublev, who are all 27 years old right now, can continue to play and become the Grigor Dimitrovs of
They will replace Grigor.
Yeah, but that doesn't. But for the sake of this conversation, though, once you get to a certain point, you're playing, but you're not a factor. I think that's the main difference, right? You're still playing, but I don't expect to see you contending for championships.
Top 10. A lot of these are you mentioned 3 players.
I mentioned
7.
Yeah, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. It's okay. So let's look at the rest of them in that same age group, right? You've got Tommy Paul and Francis Tiafoe. They have both been top 10 before. They both clipped the top 10. So they're there. But I think for the sake of those two, Rublev is top 10, Ferrando top 10, Taylor's top 10, Zverev's top 10. But what I'm saying is the part that worries me, right? It's not the 30 and plus group. They're out of the conversation except for Novack, because he gets the Tim Duncan benefit of the doubt. Yep. It's the
good
if these guys in the next 18 months don't win one and they start to move through and out of their prime, right? The players doing the majority of the winning are all 23 and under. So it's actually there's a weird vacuum right now of players between the age of 24 and 26 who are in the top 30. There aren't many of them. And for those who are there approaching they're just about to, at this on paper, hit their prime. And I'm looking at you, Felix Auger-Aliassime. Do you think Felix is going to win a Grand Slam title in his career? Right. He's 24 years old, and we can already go, nope. Because you would have done it by now if you had.
You would have done it by now.
Yeah, and he's actually going backwards. Same thing with Stefanos Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas was on the track, right? He is 26 years old. He's made 3 Grand Slam finals, right? As recently as 2023, he finaled the Australian Open, so lost to Novack. But he's been there, but now we're trending the wrong direction. He's getting older and going backwards.
And Alvin, I would even tell you there's 3 other players, maybe 5 other players. I won't name all the names that didn't even reach that high, that are, and as is typical with the tour, that will probably not make top 10 at the way they're tracking. And they are in the teens. They're in the teens / 20s that you kind of So the vacuum you speak of is real. The current 20, you mentioned even your boy Talon Griegspoor. He's one of those older players that has always been knocking on the door.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Talon has the talons, to get any higher. And Alvin, and I'm going to tell you, and I mentioned this to you in the Australian Open, and I told you, Alvin, then. I said, Alvin, I'm seeing a really weird changing of the guard right now. I saw 7 players, including Leonard Tan, including Bashir Barretti, including Yao Fonseca, include all the. I said, Alvin, I'm seeing players who are hitting the felt off of the ball,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're showing these players, these older players, buddy, you guys are old. You're a step slow. You're just a little, and mind you, you're good. But we're young. And the game is getting more physical, getting faster, and you are no longer in your prime. And I'm telling you, Alvin, I think that vacuum will be filled very quickly. I just hope it's the same quality of tennis and these guys aren't one and dones. I don't think it's tracking backwards. In other words, I don't think the peak is going to come back to 22, 23. I just think that the peak is farther, but I think that the drop off, the plank, is even quicker because at that point in time, you still, while you're more in shape, you're not as fast. You're not as powerful. Your core coverage isn't there. And any player whose game depends on that extra step, as has been the case for the last 25 to 30 years, Michael Chang, Alvin, lost a lot more matches after he won the French. Leighton Hewitt had a 2 or 3 year run. He was the better improved, new and improved version of Michael Chang. And after him, I got to be honest, look at the players that were, their game was built off of speed. Alvin, look at it. They have not had the staying power. So I'm only
Yeah.
mentioning to you to say, if your game is built, and to be honest, Alvin, and you heard it right here, Alcaraz and Sinner both. They're both pretty quick players. Sinner's game, to me, is a little more well-rounded. Alcaraz's game depends on speed. You heard it right here. I'm going to put it out there. I give him 5 years. His peak will not be
Ooh.
28, 29. You heard it right here. I got to say it.
Ooh.
Here's why.
No,
Because it's so speed dependent to
I
get to that
think
fast at
I
28. Just
think
say.
that people. Okay, that this is not on the rundown, but we're gonna go ahead and go there.
Let's go there.
When we talk about Carlos, okay, shit. All right, we're going there. When we talk about Carlos Alcaraz, right? People get really caught up in the flair, right? All this, like the big shots
Yep.
and all this stuff. Like it's a fun brand of tennis to watch, and it's effective and it's exciting, and it wins. Yep. He's pocketed 4 Grand Slams at this point. But here's why I'm going to surprise you, and I'm not going to really push back on that because he does. There are some things, if you force yourself to be critical, that you feel like they don't age well. One, he does not win easy points. He doesn't have a big enough serve, and that is not because of he doesn't really have any technical deficiencies. He's only 6 foot tall. He's not that big. Not a big dude, right? So, and then the speed part. He is so fast that his speed is a weapon. His speed causes you to think not just twice, think 3 times about where you're going to hit a ball. And then he can get to things, and then he gets the balls that most players would be on a little bit on defense. He can kind of do it neutral on some of those defensive balls. But like to your point, and this is, we had no intention of going here with this conversation. I don't disagree with you. He's not going to be it. I would be shocked. I would be shocked if he's top 5 when he's 30. If he's still playing when he's 30.
Playing.
Yeah.
Out there, and that buttons up my point, Alvin. And anybody with more average, we're going to say, because they're all good athletes, average speed, you're already slow.
Yeah. Well,
and this is in NFL football for running backs. This is in point guards in basketball. You had to have been phenomenally fast, younger, to be above average fast at 30. And so on and so on. Junior tennis, your top quick water bug types are phenomenally fast at 12, 13, 14, and at 18, they're not as fast.
I might even contradict myself right here. This is gonna sound stupid. But because when you watch him play, he can literally hit players off the court. So it's like I think it's his speed that is his superpower. Without it, he's still really, really good. He's special.
You're talking about Carlos.
Yes, he's special because of his speed. Right. So as the speed starts to deteriorate over, he'll be 22, I think, in a couple weeks. In the next 6 years, as the speed goes down, there is something that goes up, though, which is his experience.